Say hello. Hello. Hello.
Yo, welcome to the Metal Foundry episode number 6. These examples are not influenced by any band whatsoever. They are totally of my own creation, which I came up with using my own mind. They bear no resemblance whatsoever to any parts written by any band in the history of music. So don't go accusing me of appropriating ideas from artists in the metal world, because it's not true. Just a quick little thing before we get started. There's a clean guitar sound at the beginning of our first example today, and then it goes into a distorted sound later on. If you don't have a foot switch to change between a clean and distorted sound, then you can simply start with your volume control on your guitar almost off and then roll the volume up when you get to the distorted part. When you've got your volume rolled off, it'll kind of sound clean, and as you turn it back up, it'll start sounding distorted. But you'll need to start with the distortion channel engaged on your amp or have the gain up on your amp. If you don't have a foot switch or an amp that's capable of changing between channels, it might be worth thinking about getting one. Our new note value today is this. These are 16th notes and they last for 1/4 of a beat each. These are pretty small, and in music, small means fast. So you're going to have to take your time when practicing them. Here we are squeezing 4 notes into the space of 1 beat. And the word that we use to help us remember what these note values sound like is Coca-Cola, because the word Coca-Cola has 4 syllables. As well as a new note value, we also need to discuss our first technique. The word technique could describe a whole family of different ideas on the guitar. But basically, technique's a way of affecting the sound of a note or the way that you get from one note to another note. And the one that we're going to introduce today is a thing called the let ring technique. The concept of let ring is really easy to understand. It simply means that notes need to overlap each other in sound, rather than be separate from one another. So this becomes this. This dashed line tells you how many notes to apply the let ring technique between. Just make sure that you try to follow this in the notation as we go through the first example. Okay, example number 13 goes like this. Play open low E, then play fret 2 on the A string with your second finger. These are all T's, by the way. Then you're going to play open high E and then open B. So it goes T, 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 T. Notice how I let ring. Next, we're going to play open G, and this is going to last for 4 beats of 1 big whole note. Let me put all that together. T, 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 1 big whole note. Then we're going to repeat bar number 1. And then simply play fret 1 on the D with your first finger and let it last for 4 beats of 1 big whole note. So that's going to go. It would do me great honour if you would consider subscribing to the 60 Seconds of Shred YouTube channel. Please, at the very least, please like this video, and if you're feeling generous, leave me a comment, because it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. You can actually play this whole thing with your second finger on the second fret A and your first finger on the first fret D. You actually don't need to move these 2 fingers at all. Then just put them together. T, 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 1 big whole note. T, 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 1 big whole note. Right, let's practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. T, 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 1 big whole note. T, 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 1 big whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. T, 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 T. 1 big whole note. T, 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 T. 1 big whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. Example number 17 is going to start with an E power chord played with either your first or second fingers, but I'm going to use my first finger. So I'm going to play my power chord, let it last for 2 beats, then I'm going to play open high E, then open B. Notice how those notes are letting ring. So it's going to go half note, T, T. Then you're going to do the same thing but replace the power chord for a G power chord played here on fret 3 low E and 5A. Up to you which fingers you use. I'm going to use fingers 1 and 4. Same rhythm as before, half note, T, T. Then if you put them together, half note, T, T, half note, T, T. Repeat the first bar. Then we're going to play this power chord, which is called E flat or D sharp. You're going to have your first finger on the first fret D and your little or third finger on the third fret G. You're going to do a coffee, then a rest, and a coffee and a rest. Coffee, rest, coffee, rest. So if we put it all together, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, coffee, rest, coffee, rest. Right, let's practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note, T, T, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, coffee, rest, coffee, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note, T, T, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, coffee, rest, coffee, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note, T, T, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, coffee, rest, coffee, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half note, T, T, half note, T, T, half note, T, T, coffee, coffee. 1, 2, 3, 4. Example number 18 goes like this. On the face of it, this is really straightforward. It's literally just open low E. But we've got these 16th notes that we chatted about at the beginning of today's lesson. You've got to make sure here that you do alternate picking, because if you don't, you'll struggle to keep up with it just being downstrokes. We're going to play 8 open low E's palm muted to start with. And I'm going to use that word Coca-Cola to describe what this should sound like. As your pick hits the string, it makes sense to hold it at a slight angle. This will help your pick slice through the string more efficiently. So don't hold it perpendicular to the string like this, make sure it's at a slight angle like this. You should also make sure that your pick doesn't get hung up in between the strings. So notice here how I've really pushed the pick right towards the guitar body. And as a result, my pick's getting really caught. Make sure that you try to keep your pick on the outside of the guitar's strings, like this. That being said, we're simply going to play open low E, palm muted 8 times using a down and up motion of your pick, like this. And that's literally it. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. Then we're going to have a 2-beat rest. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Then we're going to do it again. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Then we're going to do our 16th notes for a full bar. So we're going to do 4 sets of Coca-Colas. Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. Then we're going to play the first bar again. So 2 more sets of Coca-Colas. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, then that rest. Then we are simply going to repeat. So if I just play it through. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Coca-Cola, 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 top, hat. All right, let's do some practicing. Please don't be too concerned if you find this difficult. That's because it is. If you do find it hard to keep up with what we're about to do, then stop the video and practice without me before you come back to the video at a later date. Try and make sure that you do really, really small pick strokes as well, because this will help with your efficiency of movement. Don't forget, efficient movement is fast movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Coca-Cola, 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 top, hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top. Coca-Cola, 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 top, hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, top, hat. Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. Top, hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In terms of how we put this all together, we play example number 16 twice, example 17 twice, and then I'm just going to repeat example 18 and it's just going to fade over time. Don't forget, you can slow the video down using the YouTube player settings if you need to. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As ever, please don't forget to subscribe to the 60 Seconds of Shred YouTube channel. See ya.